Hey folks, David Stewart here. Check out these books. You can search them up on Amazon. Read them, enjoy them. All kinds of genres. Fantasy, horror, science fiction, nonfiction, literary fiction. It's all in there. Let's talk about the negative lottery, the inverse lottery, if you will. You all know the normal lottery. Maybe you're thinking of the lottery like random people die. No, I'm thinking like you buy a lottery ticket and you maybe win. Low cost, high potential reward. Low probability of that high potential reward, but still a high potential reward. So $5, not a big cost. Potential payout, millions upon millions of dollars. It's not really a good deal because you're much more likely to just never win the lottery than to win the lottery, but you at least have the potential of having an upside and the cost is fairly low. The opposite of that are all kinds of risks that I see people take that have virtually no upside. They have a very, very small potential upside and a gigantic potential downside. Instead of winning the lottery, you like die, right? Think of like drunk driving. If you decide to drive drunk, there's a chance you could get home safely. I guess that would be the potential upside. I got home with my car. And the potential downside is that you die and maybe kill other people at the same time, or maybe go to jail. Those are really, really big downsides. Where you, instead of winning the lottery, you lose it, and you lose it in a big way where you lose everything that you have. But people do these sorts of behaviors all the time. They drive drunk. Maybe alcohol impairs their ability to understand what I'm talking to you now. But they do other things like they have extramarital affairs. It's like, I'm gonna go sleep with this woman, and I'm going to basically risk everything I have for a few moments of pleasure. And when you put it like that, it's like, oh, yeah, I could get away with it, right? So the potential upside is I have sex. And the potential downside is I lose everything. I lose my wife, my kids. I lose my whole life that I built. Okay. But people still do this all the time because that momentary excitement is so exciting. They get so excited by the idea that they talk themselves into getting just a tiny little upside and risking everything. And I think about this with like people riding motorcycles, oh, motorcycles are great. You can split lanes. Yeah, but you could also just die. And in fact, every person I've ever known that drove a motorcycle has crashed that motorcycle and been injured riding their motorcycle at least one time. Whereas I've known people that have been in car accidents and have never been injured, right? I've only known one person that's been seriously injured in a car accident my whole life. And now that number could be higher for you, it could be lower for you, but I've known people that got in accidents and they've never been like seriously injured. So the potential for dying in a car accident is fairly low. And in fact, the trade-off for like driving to work is a pretty good one. You have a really, really low chance of losing everything, much less than if you were driving drunk. And then you have a definite potential upside, which is you get paid to go to work. And so we engage in these sorts of risks all the time, negative lottery risks, usually to our benefit and in ways where like the potential downside is just insanely low. It's minuscule. It's minuscule that you would have something where it would like destroy your entire life. But other times I see people do things that are just, I don't know why they do it. And in a lot of cases, though, I think people are pretty rational, and I think a lot of changes in behavior can be basically quantified in terms of this negative lottery. You hear some women complain like, why aren't men asking women out anymore? It's because of this. They perceive that the upside is not very big, but the potential downside could destroy their life. You guys think I'm joking, but it's like a woman could humiliate you online, could destroy your life, could accuse you of something if you were to try to hit on her at a bar. So you just don't do it. It's not worth the risk. Is the upside? What's the potential upside? The potential upside is very low, that this person's going to respond to me, that a good relationship is going to come out of it. And then there is a potential that I could lose everything. So that high, it's not so much about the chance of a bad thing happening. It's that bad thing happening can be so severe that you don't want to risk it at all. It's like if you had a 1% chance of just dying every time you walked out of the house, no one would leave the house. 1% sounds very low, but you would have to think about it like I'd be pretty much guaranteed to die this year if I had a 1% chance of dying when I walked outside of the door. No one would take that risk. But, if you have the potential for your entire reputation to be destroyed for taking a small risk, you're just not going to do it because the upside really isn't there. And I think a lot of people are just making rational decisions about things like that. They are hedging their bets. They are covering their asses. That's what they're doing in order to do these things. And you could think about it with, say, not going to dinner with female coworkers. For this rule, some people call it like the Mike Pence rule. And it's something that I've actually told a lot of people to take up, a lot of teachers especially, never be alone with a student. Because the upside of whatever that meeting is to help the kid, if it's a student, or like to, have an important business conversation with someone you work with, that has a big potential negative downside, even if it's a low frequency consequence of somebody getting the wrong idea about it, somebody getting offended, that being a potential to harm you. It's better to just not have that happen, because you probably won't happen, but you want to completely minimize and eliminate that risk because of the impact, the potential negative impact of whatever's going on there. So I think a lot of people just make rational decisions about these sorts of negative lottery equations. And if you complain that people aren't playing the negative lottery all the time, you just have to think about, oh, well, have we made the consequences so severe? It's like, why is everybody so like this now? It's because there's a camera always on them, and their life could be ruined at any moment by saying anything that's a little bit unorthodox. That's why nobody's funny. If I make a comedy routine and I have a chance of having my life ended and never being able to work or own a house, or my wife's going to leave me because of the negative backlash to some joke I make, I'm not going to make that joke, right? I'm just going to not be funny. I'm going to not take any risks. So the risk reward thing, I think people are more rational than we tend to give them credit for, at least when they're sober, right? And that's a big part of this negative lottery thing that I'm talking about. But anyway, I want to know your thoughts about this. Like, are there any things you think about with the negative lottery where it's not like an expensive lottery ticket? In fact, let me talk about this too. Let's talk about really expensive lottery tickets, because a lottery ticket is $5 with a big potential payout. The other thing people do is they buy expensive lottery tickets. I'll give you a really good one, which is OnlyFans. Women will make pornographic content for OnlyFans thinking, I could make $10 million like this e-prostitute over there, and I really want $10 million. But the cost is you can never take that offline. Like, somebody that buys it, they put it out there. It's potentially out there forever. And no matter what decisions you make later in your life, you may have to explain to your kids that, like, you did porn or something. You may find that you're unable to have a teaching job because you did porn before. That has happened before. People have gotten fired, right? Massive potential really big life-altering consequences to doing OnlyFans. And the average OnlyFans model makes like $50 a month, which means most people are not even making that. So you're doing that for virtually no reward to buy a lottery ticket. People do this all the time. Like, I write books. Books are like lottery tickets. They're like really expensive lottery tickets. If I didn't care about the product I was making on a deep level, like on a spiritual level, it's the product of me, then it would be just the worst use of my time imaginable is to write books, because you are playing the lottery. You're hoping to make a ton of money by chance. And it would do with YouTube videos too. YouTube is playing the lottery. Is it an expensive lottery ticket? Maybe not. This video is 8 minutes and 43 seconds. So spending 10 minutes of my time, maybe more, because I have to, upload it to YouTube. Maybe I have to do a couple takes of the video or something. That's not a huge cost, and the potential reward is like some money or some more attention or more people buying my books, that kind of stuff. So the risk to reward, big potential upside, not a huge cost. It's a fairly cheap lottery ticket, but there's people who spend huge amounts of money to make a YouTube video and nobody pays attention. They spend 40 hours making a YouTube video and 100 people watch it. And that's great. That's 100 people that watched it. That's cool. But that's a lot of work for virtually no reward. So there's a lot of just really expensive lottery tickets out there. They don't have a big potential negative consequence to you personally, but they have a big cost to what you're doing. And so it's helpful to think about. If you're motivated by, I want to be a rock star. Well, the rock star is the person who wins the lottery with a really expensive lottery ticket. I want to be the next Kevin Smith. You're going to put in a lot of time and money to make an independent film that probably no one will watch. You'd be better off spending that money buying lottery tickets. or doing the parlay at the sports bet or something, doing something else with the money, because the chances are very low and the cost is really high. So expensive lottery tickets are like another layer to that. Anyway, give me your thoughts down below. Expensive lottery tickets and the negative lottery, these risky behaviors that have the potential to destroy everything, but give you almost no benefit. Why do people do these? How are they able to convince themselves to do that in the moment without really thinking about everything? Do they just live too much in the moment? Anyway, you let me know. I'd be interested to know your perspective on it as well. Have a great one, and I'll see you all next time. My books are on Amazon. Here's one. You can buy it. See you later.